Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio. World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias. Oh, we are in the studio once again on a beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington. Welcome, y'all. Thank you once again for tuning in. Oh, we have an amazing guest this afternoon. Miss Clarissa Kenty is here all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. Miss Clarissa, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am great. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the show this afternoon. We're going to get into this interview here, but first, before we jump into the interview, I always like to let the listeners know kind of, what's going on and what we've been doing here in the Seattle location. Women in Business Expo Group. I'll tell you, this is an amazing group of women. It is that are entrepreneurs, business owners. They're making moves out here, doing great things. We have completed our second workshop at Echo Glen Youth Detention Center, which was amazing. First workshop, which was July 6th, with Mr. Neal from SBA, who was definitely an important resource. So we're going to give a shout out to him for sure for the work it is that he's done. But yesterday, August 3rd, we had workshop number 2, which was so powerful, very impactful for the young people. We had 4 guest speakers there that shared their testimony, their journey, their experience with the young people, of trials to triumph. That was the workshop number 2. So we definitely want to thank those speakers, Mr. Clayton Bias, Susan Mans Bates, also to Mr. Timothy Lanier and Apostle Sabrina Ford. I mean, these guests came on, they shared their time, their insight with the young people. They inspired the young people, made them think about some things. Even though they're incarcerated now, doesn't mean that, life is over for them. So we definitely want to let, that group know that they are appreciated for the time it is that they put in yesterday. Oh, what a wonderful workshop it was. And for those of you that are out there that are looking to maybe, support young people, okay, support the youth, be a mentor, be a leader, whatever it is your heart is calling for, we're looking for you. So if you are one of those people, definitely feel free to contact us, Women in Business Expo Group at yahoo.com. You can email, let us know that you're interested. You can also check out the Facebook page, Women in Business Expo Group, or check out the website, wibeg.biz. There you will find additional information about the organization, the work it is that we're doing, the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, and everything else it is that's going on. So definitely you want to check those sites out, or just connect with us. Like I said, the email address is Women in Business Expo Group at yahoo.com. You can reach us directly. And like I said, if you're looking to mentor some young people, connect with young people, be a leader, whatever it is that you're being called to do, we're here to give you that resource and that support. So definitely we're looking for those people that are interested. Yes. So I want to go ahead now and let y'all know about our guest this afternoon, Miss Clarissa, all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. I want to welcome you on the show this afternoon. We are honored. We are blessed to have you here. I mean, this woman has a wealth of information, y'all. She's doing it. Okay, she's one of those women that we honor all the time, that are doing the work. And we thank you, Miss Clarissa. We thank you for that. Why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know? Usually I like to ask, to ask people to tell us a little bit about yourself. But with you, I want to go ahead and I want to ask you, give our listeners in 5 words or less, describe yourself.
Mm, wow. Okay. 5 words or less. Um, a woman that's in pursuit of God's purpose. Maybe
Mhm.
that's more than 5, but that's what I have.
Okay. Okay. That's that's it. And that's kind of the core there of who you are. Is that
Yes.
woman that's definitely in pursuit. Yes. Well, like I said, I'm glad to have you on the show this afternoon. Miss Clarissa, let's talk about business here. I was reading your bio there, and tell us, what was the inspiration behind you starting the businesses that were noted there? I know there's the Divine Image,
Mhm.
and then the ICU Media Group. Let's talk
Right.
about that. What's the inspiration behind those businesses?
Okay. Well, Divine Images Finishing Institute was birthed in 2006, August 2006. So we've been around for a long time as an LLC business. And so that business was really birthed out of providing business as well as personal protocol, social protocol, how to conduct yourself at the table, table etiquette, public speaking, posture and poise on the business side as well as personal. And so that's how that started and went over into more of a public relations and consulting firm because that's my degree. My degree is in marketing and broadcast and public relations. And so it went into that for a very long time. And then shortly after that, I started a show called the Ladies Room Talk Show. And that was an online radio show for a period of time. And then Facebook started their live, and we decided to go live with it. And we've been hitting that ever since. So the Ladies Room has been around for about 6 years. After that, I just started thinking, I'm doing this, and people were saying, well, how are you doing this? I wish I could do what you were doing. And I'm always a person to want to help people. And so I realized, I said, this can really be a business for people who have the content, but they don't have the equipment. They don't have the studio. They don't have the bells and whistles, but they have good content. And so I decided to start ICU Media to be a hub for things, to provide a place where people can bring their content and to be able to present it in the best light possible. So prior to the pandemic, much like a lot of millionaires, which is what I aspire to be, I kind of wrote some things down on a little piece of paper and kind of tucked it away. And so when the pandemic hit, everything I wrote down was able to come to life. So things like live streaming. And before the pandemic, live streaming really was not a big thing. People were starting to get into it. People were starting to do what we're doing here today, but it really wasn't necessary. So people weren't really doing their best to try to kind of climb in and learn how to do it. And so once the pandemic hit, everybody was doing it on a national scene, local, whomever. Everyone was forced to do these side-by-side virtual shows. And so I had already written these things down, saying that this is something that I wanted to do and provide. And so once it hit, I got one phone call. And, usually it's either one phone call, one word, or one idea that can be life-changing. And so a local restaurant here is a jazz restaurant, the Perfect Note, reached out to me and said, hey, we're trying to stay alive here during this pandemic. Everything is closed. What can we do? Hey, I know you have a good camera and you have some good equipment. Let's come in and see if we can do a live concert and see what we can do to still be financially in the game, provide a good quality show that people can still enjoy and really find it necessary to invest in. And so that's where the ICU Media really started to take legs and really grow. I believe when you get an idea, that's when your thing is birthed. But you have to give it food and nourish it and get the legs on it. And so that's really when it started to take off. And really, we have not looked back. We've had an opportunity to record people like Peebo Bryson. We just did Tommy Davison that came in Birmingham last week. We've done people like Shantae Moore, Chrisette Michelle, all of these types of R&B legends, actors, Chandra Corelli, who's on the Tyler Perry show. So we've been able to record those types of people. We had Sinbad on my show. So God has really been able to open up doors for us. And what we were able to do is we found a need and we filled that need. And so it's all about helping and serving people. So that's how ICU Media kind of came into place. And so now we're doing funerals. We had a lot of funerals to do during the pandemic because people couldn't come to the funerals. So we live stream. We do a lot of live streaming even today. We do live streaming production. We do virtual productions. We go on site, do live remotes. We've done football games. We have done different virtual type settings that you see here. We've done that. Website building. We're going out to do some drone footage for a drag race here in a couple of weeks. So God has really opened up a lot of things for ICU Media, and we are consistently expanding. We have several clients who are podcasters, and we produce their podcast shows and we put them out to at least 4 platforms. We do the editing, we do their graphics, and we do also their load up. So there's a lot of things that we do, but really to answer your question, the reason for that is there was a need for something like ICU Media. And, a lot of times from what I've heard, even back when there was a huge downfall in the financial economic development in our country, that's when a lot of millionaires were birthed.
Yeah.
Was during the Great Depression, ideas coming. How can you accommodate the need of people? And so that's where ICU Media really just kind of stepped into play, and we've just been growing ever since. And it's just really been a blessing for us. But I would have to say for ICU Media, probably our big birth was during the pandemic or a little bit prior to. Mm-hmm.
So definitely a lot of increase in business, despite it sounds like the pandemic. It sounds like the pandemic may have helped,
Yes,
media wise, to get your name out and to kind of help promote the work it is that you're doing.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, that just shows that not every bad situation is a bad situation.
It's right. It's perspective,
Right.
and a woman of your prestige, when handed lemons make lemonade.
That's it. That's
Right.
exactly it too. Yes. Let our listeners know, Miss Clarissa, what is the mission statement behind ICU? What does ICU Media Group stand for?
It's just we're really making dreams come true.
Mhm.
Our slogan is ICU Media, where we see you and they will too. So we see you first through our lens, and then through our lens, we project you out to your audience. And so we want to provide what I like to call a kingdom experience for everyone. Kingdom experience means it's high level, God inspired, and it's a blessing on everything that we do. And so sometimes people think that, well, this is what I want to do. It's okay, great. So I take that and I just, magnify it about 3 or 4 times bigger. So once their experience is over, they've gotten first class quality, professionalism, and someone that really believes in their ideas just as much as they do. Maybe even more, because once we grasp that idea, we're going to take it as our own and really, really, really push it. So, it's just what we desire to make dreams come true, and want to be what we can be for our clients, and that's to serve them in the best way possible.
Yes, and that's exactly it. Because customer service plays a big part in business. And that's something that for us as business owners, that we always need to take a look at is our customer service. How are we serving our customers?
Mhm.
And that we're in line with what our customers need. And it sounds like the work it is that you're doing now is definitely a need. And especially, during this time that's going on in the world, there's a lot more virtual events that are going on. You hear that word a lot more
Yes.
than you did prior to the pandemic. So definitely you're fulfilling the need that's out there.
Mhm.
Yes. Let our listeners know now, because I'm reading through your bio and the information that I got, the etiquette training that you have.
Yes.
Tell our listeners, how does that play a part in business? How did you combine those two together? To be able to do the work that you do now today.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, etiquette as a whole is almost what you want to call a lost art, and sometimes people like to blame the parents, but you really can't when you look at cultural and generation. When you have 2 parents who are working in the house, or even one parent that's working in the house, and they are working to make a living, so you may see mom early in the morning, and then you don't see her until later on at night. And the only thing she really can do is just pop a few things in the microwave, throw a few paper plates out on the table, maybe a fork, maybe a knife and spoon, and just go at it. And so, and like I said, it's not a knock on anyone, but it's because we're not able to give that to our young people. They're not growing up with what we want to call natural etiquette protocol or social protocol. And so there's social deficits that are out there now that people are expecting. See, my generation, your generation, we're expecting a certain decorum from a person. We're expecting certain posturing from people. And so now we're expecting something that's not realistic because a lot of the generations that are coming behind us really did not have that luxury of having that social etiquette and that social training. And so what my business does so important is that we can come in and provide that. We can come in and break it all the way down to even proper hygiene, bathing every day, because some kids don't like to bathe every day. And believe me, we are the victims of that not bathing.
Yeah.
So, you have to kind of come in and teach them that, and teach them that when you walk in the room, you speak first. Teach them that, the type of handshake to extend to another person, or eye contact, or what to wear, or, some of our young ladies, when you tell them to dress up, that's not 6-inch heels. No, that is not 6-inch heels. But some young ladies think that when you tell them to dress up or professional dress, they think it's a heel, and the higher the better.
Right.
That's, of course, reserved for certain times. I do have a pair of 2 that I do on my date night with my husband.
Yeah.
But certainly it would not be to wear to work or to go to an interview or something like that. And so, and even with our young men, proper grooming, edging up your hair, just even if you don't have a full haircut, a lot of the guys don't know, if you just get a nice edge, that will freshen up your whole look. Making sure that your tennis shoes are clean, making sure that your dress shoes are shined and they look really good. And usually the fun thing about when I do etiquette classes for young guys, when I tell them that that's what the girls like, oh, they're attentive. They're sitting up and they're leaning in. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, right. Okay, let me write that down. They like, what now? Oh, okay. So that helps when I am, going with the young guys. But in the business aspect, same deal. You would think it's different, but pretty much the same deal. Now, of course, when you're going to sit down and eat, certain things, like if your supervisor invites all of you out to eat, if your supervisor does not have his plate when everyone else has theirs, you sit and you wait until they're served. Unless a good supervisor would say, hey guys, no, go ahead and eat. But unless he or she says that, then we're to sit politely and wait for their food to come. Certain things, like you don't announce, hey, I'm in a tight, I got to go pee. You don't tell people what you're going to do. You just ask to be excused. Just some of those basic things that people just don't know, but it could be offensive to people like you and I who know.
Yes.
And so we could be offended, or it could cost you a job. It could cost you an interview. It could cost you a promotion. And so you would never know why you're not promoted. Well, it's because of those silent expectations that we have of you that you just certainly failed and bombed at, but we're holding it against you.
Right.
And so that's where etiquette and social protocol is so important. Nowadays, it's us expecting something that this next generation righteously just cannot give us. And we just don't want our young people to be set up for failure. We want them to win. We want everyone to win. And so that's one of the, the good things about the etiquette school that I have, is that we're just setting everyone up to win. And that's really the bottom line, at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. Do you find a difference in etiquette when it comes to cultural differences? Let's touch a little bit on that. Do you find that at all? I mean, for those, that come from different countries, cultural wise, is there a difference?
I do.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, because sometimes some people do not extend their hands to shake your hand to greet. There are some, even as it relates to pastoral type things, some pastors will extend their hand, but they'll clasp the hand in theirs. That's a form of, we care about you. That may not be very befitting on a business standpoint, but in a standpoint of you're pastoring, or you're going to visit a family that's lost a loved one, that would be very appropriate. Hugs, kisses.
Right.
There's some cultures that extend that when they're meeting and greeting. In America, unless you're married to me or you're my child, please do not give me a kiss. Hug maybe, kiss please do not. So, because that could be considered a little, hey, you're in my space.
Yeah.
And it's really good to really study up, even on certain parties or certain events that you go to, that there may be some cultural differences there because of the caliber of people that you're there to see. There may be a time when you do a fist bump, or hey, what's up? Right. But still, there's a certain decorum with that as well. Also with just with ethnicities. There's, now a lot of times we're African American people are doing more what we call a natural hairstyle.
Hmm.
And so there's still some states that are not receptive of those natural hairstyles, which is the natural state of a Black person's hair growing out of their scalp. So to a big thing to where there's a Crown Act that's out nationally. And so even within that, culturally, in some businesses, it's still not accepted to wear braids or cornrows or your dreads unless it's in a certain manner. And so sometimes when I'm teaching etiquette, depending on the group, it's a hard time for them to understand that. And sometimes it's saying, look, it's not saying that you have to change who you are. What it is saying that you have to adapt to the situation that you're in at that particular time, but don't lose the ethnicity of who you are. So culturally, yes, there can be some differences based on what culture you're coming from or what country that you're in. If you go and you travel a lot, become well read on the culture. Don't go there and embarrass yourself. You have people like Michelle Obama. She just nailed it
Yeah.
when she went to these different countries. Why? Because she was very intelligent and she read up on culture, how to greet, the proper way to sit, what to wear. And so those types of things are very, very, you can be overdressed, believe it or not. You can literally be overdressed for an event. And I'm sure some people are thinking, oh, perish the thought. But you can, it's very possible.
Yeah.
And even in being overdressed, you look nice. You tend to be out of place. And so, yeah, the cultural thing, not, country wise, ethnicity wise, or just your place in that environment. All of that definitely plays a part in making sure you're prepared. And when I talk to people and I'm telling them when they go to different events, read up. Okay, what's the event about?
Yes.
Who's going to be there? What kind of group of folks are going to be there? Are they your high-end A-list people, middle class, whatever? So you want to kind of fall into that line. And so when you do your research, maybe about 15 minutes, check them out, see what's going on. That way, when you make your first impression, it's a good lasting impression.
Yes, that's definitely a gem right there, y'all. Take heed to her words, okay? For sure. Yes, yes. For those of you that are just tuning in, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias. And we are in the studio via StreamYard today with our guest, Miss Clarissa. We're just talking this afternoon, business, etiquette, the whole nine here. And just discussing, social media too. Some of the media group it is that she has, ICU Media Group. They're in Birmingham, Alabama. Let our listeners know. Let's again kind of go over the services it is that you offer so that our listeners know exactly, what the work it is that you're doing.
Sure. We do specialize in live stream videography. We also do podcast productions and creations, graphic design, social media content, and managing. We also do virtual platforms as well. If you want to do a Zoom on steroids, we can come in, create your opening for you, your closing graphics. We can also create commercials and voiceovers. We have several voice talents that we have on staff that can create those commercials for you. And we can also script those commercials for you as well. We also do makeovers. There are some men and women who are wanting to have a makeover or they need new pictures. I can't tell you how many clients I go and they'll come in and, we're working on graphics and things. I'm thinking, okay, where are your pictures? And so I have to go back to 1942 to find pictures of somebody. And I'm thinking, really? And so, and a lot of them are a little nervous and such. And so we do have a package that we provide. And it's a wonderful experience. We have someone that comes in and will create a whole new style for you based on your body shape and what you like in your personality. And we also have a makeup artist who comes in and takes care of your hair for your face for you. And we have someone that can style your hair. And then we also have a photographer who comes in. So we have a great package that we provide for that. It's called the Glam Package, and it's for men and women. And we also provide a 1 hour life coaching session because I do those as well, but we do provide that as well. Our website is icumedialive.com.
Yeah.
icumedialive.com.
And is that the best way to connect with you, to contact you? Is that the best way?
Yes, ICUmedialive.com. There's a way that you can request a consultation to meet with us. We have a list of all of our services there and what we have to offer, a little bit more about us. And that's the glam session there I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And we're running a special there. So that's a good one that you guys want to be a part of there. But yes, that's definitely the best way. You can request services there as well. And if you certainly know what you want to do,
Mhm.
you can certainly go through it, and it's kind of a one-stop shop. Also, we do have strategy sessions. So our strategy sessions is where you come in and you may not know quite what you want, but you know you want something.
Mhm.
We'll come in and create, just get a few things from you, and then we'll create a package for you right there on the spot and see if that's going to best fit you for where you want to go. So we do offer those strategy sessions at where, and there's a small fee for that. But that is the best way, just without trying to give out numbers and all that. ICUmedialive.com. That's ICUmedialive.com. And you can certainly send us an email, and our number is on there as well.
Awesome, awesome. Great way to connect with you. Let me ask too, for those listeners that are out there, if there's anyone it is that may be interested but not located in Birmingham, Alabama, is that still okay to go ahead and contact you?
It is because there's several things that we can do virtually, even from podcasts. You know, we do have some people, they'll create their own podcast um, show, but then they'll send it to us to add the bells and whistles and do a little tweaking. Also, if someone wants to do a virtual show, but they're in another state, we can produce and we can also direct that show right here in our studio, and we can do that for you virtually. We can
Wow.
also produce and conduct your training sessions, your webinars. We can do all of that from where we are. Now, we do travel.
Mhm.
We have traveled to Georgia a couple of times, and we did some things on Morris Brown campus a couple of years ago. We did a live remote there. So we do travel as well if there's a need for us to come do